Greatness never announces its arrival with noise. It doesn't need to. It begins in the silence of early mornings and the stillness of lonely nights. In the unnoticed hours when you show up anyway, when you work while others sleep, when you sow seeds that no one applauds. See, the real work of becoming is quiet. It doesn't seek attention, it seeks alignment. Most people are chasing the spotlight, but what they don't realize is the spotlight only reveals what you've built in the shadows. And if you've built nothing, the light only exposes that too. That's the paradox. True greatness never starts loud, but it ends loud because results make noise. And results don't lie. There's no virtue in being seen, but there is great virtue in being prepared. When you're preparing with purpose, you're not behind. You're becoming. You're becoming. And becoming is sacred work. Because it's the kind of work no one claps for, but heaven takes notice. It's not about speed, it's about depth. A tree doesn't grow by stretching toward the sky first. It grows by going deep into the soil, quietly, faithfully. The man who wins is the man who outlasts the doubt, the man who keeps his promise to himself long after the feeling is gone. If you're doing the right things in the right way, for the right reasons, your time will come, and when it comes, it will be evident. Not because you declared it, but because your results will testify louder than any words ever could. So don't despise obscurity. Don't resist the silence. That's where your roots are growing. That's where character is formed, and that's where destiny is carved. You may not be seen right now, but you are being shaped. You are being built. The world may not know your name yet, but the day will come when what you've done in silence will speak so loudly, they won't be able to ignore it. And then when it speaks, the world listens. Greatness begins in silence, with intention, discipline, and obscurity. It does not shout from the rooftops, nor does it beg for validation. It begins in quiet corners, when no one is watching, when the lights are off, and the only sound is the whisper of your own commitment. In a world obsessed with noise, recognition, and speed, true greatness matures slowly like a seed beneath the soil, drawing strength from its roots long before the first leaf ever sees the sun. It starts with intention, a clear, quiet decision deep within the soul. A choice to rise above mediocrity, to become more than circumstances, to do what is right even when it's hard. Intention is not passive wishing. It's a conscious alignment of your thoughts, values, and actions. It's when you say, well, this is who I will become, and then quietly begin building the life that matches it. There's no announcement, no parade, just you, your decision, and your discipline. Discipline becomes the muscle of that intention. Without it, greatness withers in fantasy. Discipline means doing it again and again, showing up when motivation fails, pushing forward through boredom, fatigue, and delay. The truly great don't wait to feel ready. They move because their intention demands it. Each silent repetition, each unnoticed effort becomes a brick in the foundation of a future only they can see. There's no crowd cheering, no spotlight validating, only the sacred rhythm of self-mastery. Obscurity is not the enemy, it is the force. In obscurity, the ego is silenced and the spirit is tested. You learn to work without needing applause, to grow without needing eyes upon you. Obscurity teaches you patience, humility, and trust. Trust in the process, trust in the vision, trust that one day the results will speak. It is in this unseen space that you develop substance over image, character over clout. Eventually, what was formed in silence begins to echo in results, but that echo would never exist without the quiet. Because greatness is not born in noise. It is born in stillness, in effort without recognition, in moments when no one believes in you but you. That is where it begins, and that is why it endures. You don't need applause to validate your purpose. Applause is fleeting. It comes and goes with trends, opinions, and moods. But purpose, real soul-rooted purpose, is steady. It doesn't need to be approved by others to be real. You weren't born to be understood by everyone. You were born to fulfill something greater than popularity. Chasing applause is like chasing shadows. It will always leave you empty, restless, and uncertain. But living from purpose is the opposite. It fills you, steadies you, and drives you from within, even when the world offers no recognition in return. Purpose is not about being seen, it's about being certain. When you know why you're doing what you're doing, you stop needing others to clap for it. You stop waiting for permission to be great. You stop measuring your value by likes, comments, and opinions. You begin to understand that the truest work you will ever do often happens in silence, far from the spotlight. That's where you are refined, tested, and strengthened. And that's where your character is forged. Applause can be a beautiful thing, but it is also unpredictable. If your worth is tied to it, you become a puppet, your direction pulled by the noise of the crowd. But when you're grounded in purpose, you move differently. You don't need validation to take action. You don't need approval to be consistent. You rise each day with a mission, whether or not anyone sees you. That's when you become unstoppable. The truth is, some of the most powerful work you'll ever do will never be celebrated publicly. Some of your greatest victories will be silent ones. Winning over fear, pushing past doubt, overcoming the temptation to quit. No one will know the full extent of your battle, but you will, and that knowing is enough. When you no longer need applause, you're finally free. Free to be honest with yourself. Free to follow what is right, not just what is popular. Free to become who you were created to be. The applause may come later, or it may never come at all. But either way, your purpose remains, and that is more than enough to keep going. Greatness is not noise, it's results. In a world obsessed with showing off progress, many forget that the loudest voice doesn't always carry the deepest truth. It's easy to make noise, to talk big, to post pictures and speeches and goals. But real greatness doesn't come from talking about it. It comes from proving it. It is measured not by volume, but by value. Not by how much you say, but by what your life quietly shows. You don't need to tell people you're disciplined if your results reflect your consistency. You don't need to convince anyone of your strength when your achievements speak for themselves. Greatness doesn't beg for attention. It attracts it naturally. Because when you deliver, people notice. No hype can replace the power of actual outcomes. You can say all the right things, but if your life doesn't show the fruit, the words eventually fade. People confuse performance with potential all the time. They applaud those who speak well, market well, present well, but time always reveals who is really doing the work. Greatness waits. It lets results do the talking, and those results come from patience, persistence, and principle, not noise. The greatest builders are usually the quietest in the room, because they're too busy building to boast. The danger of noise is that it can trick you into thinking you're progressing just because others are watching. But the work, the deep, meaningful, soul-shaping work, rarely looks impressive in the moment. It looks ordinary, repetitive, and thankless. Yet it compounds, it multiplies. And when it finally surfaces, it turns heads not because it's loud, but because it's undeniable. There's a quiet power in results. They don't have to explain themselves. They don't require defense. When you walk in a room and your life shows discipline, character, and excellence, there's no need to raise your voice. The fruit speaks louder than your words ever could. Let others waste time chasing attention. You focus on impact. Because in the end, what endures is not who made the most noise, but who made the most difference. Greatness doesn't ask to be noticed. It simply cannot be ignored. It simply cannot be ignored. The right time reveals the right person, and silence prepares you for it. Life has a way of testing you before trusting you with greater things. The waiting seasons, the quiet periods, the moments when nothing seems to be moving. These are not wasted. They are training grounds. They are designed not to delay your purpose, but to develop your character. In silence, you're stripped of distractions. You're forced to confront your weaknesses, build inner strength, and develop the resilience necessary to carry the weight of what's coming. So many people want the stage without preparation. They want recognition without refinement. But if you show up before you're ready, the very thing meant to elevate you can crush you. That's why the silence matters. That's why the hidden seasons are sacred. They prepare you in ways applause never can. When no one's watching, you're learning discipline. When no one's listening, you're developing your voice. When nothing seems to be happening, something deeper is being shaped within you. There's wisdom in waiting. Not the kind of waiting that's passive, but the kind that's purposeful. It's the work done behind the curtain, the sacrifices no one sees, the self-correction, the humility, the growth. Because when the right time arrives, it doesn't ask you to become ready. It asks you to be ready. And if you've honored the silence, if you've been faithful in the preparation, you won't have to force your way in. The moment will recognize you. The right time never comes by accident. It comes when preparation meets opportunity. And if you rush it, you'll miss it. But if you trust the process, you'll rise into it, not with fear, but with quiet confidence. Because you'll know you were forged for that moment. You didn't skip the steps. You didn't fake the growth. You endured, and now you're equipped. So don't despise the silence. Embrace it. Let it refine you. Let it teach you patience, resilience, and faith, because one day the doors will open, the spotlight will turn, the moment will come, and you won't need to chase it. You'll be called into it not because you were loud, but because you were ready. The world will notice the fruit, not the planting. People rarely pay attention to the process. They are drawn to the results. They admire the success, the achievements, the breakthroughs. But they overlook the seasons of struggle, patience, and persistence that made those moments possible. It's easy to applaud the harvest, but the true work happened long before anyone was watching. The seeds were planted in obscurity, watered with discipline, and nurtured with unwavering faith. No one clapped for the early mornings, the quiet sacrifices, or the silent failures that shaped the roots of greatness. That's the reality of growth. Most of it is invisible. Just like a seed grows underground long before it breaks the surface, your efforts are producing something powerful even if no one sees it yet. The world may not recognize your planting season, but that doesn't make it any less important. In fact, it's the most vital part. Without planting, there can be no fruit. Without roots, there can be no strength. The deeper the roots, the taller the tree can stand. Too often, people quit because their work hasn't been noticed. They give up because there's no applause. But greatness doesn't begin with validation. It begins with vision, seeing the fruit before it exists and committing to the process regardless of recognition. Your responsibility is to plant, to nurture, to stay consistent in the work. The results will come, and when they do, they will speak louder than words ever could. When the fruit finally appears, it's tempting to believe it happened overnight, but nothing of value grows instantly. It's the result of relentless focus, quiet discipline, and inner conviction. You don't need to broadcast your planting season. You just need to be faithful in it. You just need to be faithful in it. Because when the time is right, the fruit will show, and when it does, the same people who overlooked your process will be the ones asking how you did it. So keep planting, keep showing up when no one is watching, keep tending to your growth even in silence. Because one day the world will see the fruit of everything you've labored for, and in that moment, they won't be able to deny what was once invisible. Legacy is built when quiet work becomes undeniable. It doesn't begin with attention or recognition. It begins in the background, in the early mornings and late nights, in the unseen moments when no one is cheering. The true foundation of legacy is not found in noise, but in consistency. It's the person who shows up day after day, doing the right things even when it's hard, even when it feels pointless, even when no one is watching. That's where greatness starts. That's where impact begins to form, not with declarations, but with devotion. The world loves instant success stories, but legacy is never instant. It's forged through discipline, refined through challenges, and revealed over time. Quiet work is often misunderstood because it doesn't seek applause. It doesn't advertise itself, but it's relentless. It doesn't need approval to keep going. It moves with purpose. And over time, that purpose creates results that can't be ignored. The kind of results that echo long after the noise has faded. People forget what you said. They forget what you posted, but they remember what you built. They remember how you lived, what you stood for, how you made them feel. That's legacy. And legacy doesn't come from moments of hype. It comes from years of hidden labor. From being the person who keeps showing up, who keeps planting seeds, who keeps sharpening their craft without needing anyone to notice. Because eventually, they will notice. Not because you told them, but because the results speak for themselves. When your quiet work becomes undeniable, it's not just about success anymore. It's about impact. It's about people being changed because you stayed faithful to your path. It's about your values being felt in your actions. Your character leaving a mark deeper than any headline ever could. Legacy is not built by accident. It's the result of quiet integrity practiced over and over again. So don't chase recognition. Don't rush the process. Keep doing the work that others avoid. Keep building in silence. Because when your work becomes undeniable, your legacy becomes unshakable. I slay loud, but because it was real. And real always outlasts everything else.